Nickelback is a Canadian rock band that, despite selling over 50 million albums worldwide and even earning Billboard's Band of the Decade title for the 2000s, has paradoxically become the poster child for mass appeal mediocrity. The four-piece formed in 1995 in Hanna, Alberta, as a small-town cover band called Village Idiot. Within a few years, they moved to Vancouver, signed with Roadrunner Records, and by 2001, they exploded onto the charts. Their third album, Silver Side Up, delivered How You Remind Me, an arena-ready power ballad later named the most-played rock song of the decade. Success only mounted from there. The 2005 album All the Right Reasons spun off monster singles, Photograph, Rockstar, etc., and sold millions of copies. Nickelback were filling stadiums and dominating radio across North America and beyond, while critical plaudits and sales numbers climbed. And yet almost immediately, another narrative took hold. As their popularity peaked, a persistent undercurrent of scorn rose in tandem. As Nickelback's profile grew, so did the volume of derision. Music journalists began skewering the band's sound as calculated and cookie-cutter rather than inspired. Rolling Stone blasted the quartet's approach, noting that they were masters of generality, cramming all the bland blue-collar fantasies and unrequited nostalgia of a generic sitcom rerun into formulaic head-nodders. Other critics reached for colorful analogies. In The New Yorker, one writer summed up Nickelback's style as studied hit-making, borrowing the grunge guitars of Nirvana, the arena drums of contemporary post-grunge, and even hair metal lyrics about excess, but wedded to Chad Kroeger's raspy baritone to produce a sound that was almost a parody of rock cliches. Reviewers quipped that the band was like Pearl Jam without the intelligence, Metallica without the edge, AC/DC without the humor. In practice, listeners pointed out that so many Nickelback tracks reused the same riffs, chord progressions, and themes, drinking, heartbreak, driving trucks, that songs began to blur together. Overproduced and radio-friendly production underscored the impression. Nickelback's records sounded smooth and punchy, but also very safe, seemingly designed to appeal to the broadest possible audience. By the late 2000s, this critique had hardened into an almost universal refrain. The band's songs were deemed glossy, repetitive, and ultimately forgettable by anyone not already a fan. The turning point in Nickelback's reputation may have come not from musical argument, but from comedy. In 2003, Comedy Central aired a Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn promo that became legendary. Comedian Brian Posehn deadpanned that, "Listening to Nickelback makes me want to kill Nickelback." That joke ran repeatedly over months, imprinting a punchline in viewers' minds. Suddenly, Nickelback was shorthand for eye rolls. Their music became the subject of viral memes and late-night bits. In the same way, Creed or Limp Bizkit had been lampooned a few years earlier, but now on an even bigger broadcast scale. In reality, it was hard to escape a Nickelback song during the 2000s, and that oversaturation may have fueled the backlash. Chad Kroeger himself later remarked that their songs were so ubiquitous that people would hear them on rock, pop, and even country stations. You can't escape it. And that kind of saturation could piss people off. In short, many of the insults seem to derive less from a careful listening than from fatigue and peer influence. By the early 2000s and 10s, it felt almost fashionable to hate Nickelback. Their name became a kind of dare in internet joke culture, a shared scorn that bonded listeners more than any individual nuance in the music. The avalanche of derision became self-reinforcing. In 2012, for example, fans launched an online petition to block Nickelback from headlining the Detroit Lions' Thanksgiving NFL halftime show, accruing over 55,000 signatures. Across the Atlantic, British music nerds even attempted to crowdfund a ban on the band touring the UK, attracting dozens of media articles. At sports events, Nickelback references popped up everywhere. One Chicago fan held a billboard accusing the mayor of secretly liking Nickelback. Celebrities piled on, too. Rolling Stone reported that Patrick Carney of the Black Keys went on a profanity-laced tirade about Nickelback, declaring, "Rock and roll is dying because people became okay with Nickelback. Their music is AEET." Rather than sue or counterattack, Nickelback mostly absorbed these slings with sardonic humor. They even responded on Twitter with tongue-in-cheek replies when fans complained. "We bet that was the best day you've had in a while," they tweeted to someone who said a song gave him an aneurysm. In interviews, the band turned the question on its head. Chad Kroeger quipped to Billboard that without the constant controversy, we probably would have died out years ago, implying the media feeding frenzy kept them alive in public consciousness. At heart, much of the Nickelback hate looks more like social herd behavior than a pointed musical critique. In fact, one writer summed it up: "Hating Nickelback is the last form of pop music monoculture." In other words, as fans splinter into countless niche genres, everyone could still agree on the one big rock band to mock. The band's own tour manager admitted in 2012 that it's become trendy to hate Nickelback, and no one even knows why. Certainly, it's not hard to point out formulaic songwriting or formulaic production, but by that logic, one could dismiss many chart-topping artists. Several defenders note that if blandness were truly the issue, we wouldn't have nearly as many Nickelback songs stuck in our heads. After all, casual listeners might not bother turning off a band they like. It's often the hits that get overplayed and spark irritation. Even other rock stars have been taken aback by the intensity of the hate. Back in 2003, Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst sparked controversy himself by calling Nickelback overproduced formulaic ear garbage during an onstage rant. He was hurriedly pulled away amid boos, as onlookers realized that some lines had been crossed. Durst later apologized, underscoring how fervid the Nickelback backlash had become. The Nickelback members today strike a wry note about all this. Chad Kroeger continues to write and sing about life's simple dramas, love and longing, partying and nostalgia, as he always has, even as people laugh at the cliches. He notes that in recent years the hostility has cooled. Gen Z music fans tend to find Nickelback neither delicious nor detestable, but simply who. TikTok clips of their classics often get more affectionate rediscovery than derision. In fact, the band often credits the chatter for keeping them relevant. Kroeger told The Guardian that he actually loves campaigns to hate Nickelback. To him, it's hilarious, because it guarantees that people are still talking about the band. Indeed, the absurdity of it is part of their story now. After 2 decades in the spotlight, Nickelback have finally earned rock's own oddball achievement honors. They were inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 2023, even as the rest of the world debates whether they deserve it. In the end, the saga of Nickelback reads like a modern rock fable. They rose from a remote Alberta coffee shop cover band to penning some of the biggest anthems on late 90s and 2000s radio. Their sound is simple and their lyrics direct, but those very traits made them an easy target in an internet age that prizes irony and contrarianism. The result is a dramatic paradox, a chart-topping juggernaut whose own success and ubiquity turned it into an unlikely villain for millions. Some hate Nickelback because the music feels so generic. Others hate them because joining the hate brigade became part of pop culture identity. Fans and defenders argue that deep down, they're just a reliable rock band, writing catchy hooks for everyday life. Today, Chad Kroeger and company appear secure. They keep writing songs, touring, and even acknowledge that without the chatter, they might have faded into obscurity. Whether you find yourself singing along to How You Remind Me in your car or rolling your eyes at another joke, the Nickelback story is now engraved in the lore of 21st century rock. It stands as a testament to how fame, fandom, and social media buzz can intertwine, making Nickelback one of the most peculiar legends in modern music history. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on to never miss a video.